Hey, friends, and welcome to the very first episode of OverRedding It. I'm your host, Caitlin Redding, and tonight we're diving into 3 eerie stories. Not of the supernatural, but of the unexplained and unsettling. These are true stories, real people, real moments, and none of them have anything to do with ghosts or demons. Just strange situations that make you double check your locks and trust your instincts. Let's get into it. Story 1. The Man in the Rearview Mirror. A woman named Dana was driving home late one night from a family event about 2 hours away. The road was quiet, a 2-lane stretch of highway with nothing but open land and occasional gas stations. She noticed a truck behind her. It wasn't tailgating, but it had been following her for over 30 miles. At first, she figured it was just a coincidence. But whenever she changed lanes, so did the truck. When she slowed, it slowed. And when she sped up, it matched her speed. Feeling uneasy, Dana exited the highway and pulled into a gas station. The truck kept going. She exhaled with relief, filled her tank, and got a snack. Back on the road 20 minutes later, she glanced in her rearview mirror. The truck was behind her again. Now she was scared. She texted her husband her location and told him about the truck. He urged her to drive to the nearest police station. She took the next exit, this time pulling into a well-lit grocery store parking lot. She parked, left the engine running, and waited. Sure enough, the truck pulled in. But instead of parking next to her, it stopped at the far end of the lot. The driver didn't get out. Dana grabbed her keys and sprinted inside the store, breathless and nearly in tears. She told the store manager, who then called the police. By the time they arrived, the truck was gone. But the officers pulled the surveillance footage from the lot. The truck had pulled in, sat for 5 minutes, and then left. Here's the twist. When the police ran the plate number, it came back as expired and unregistered. The driver was never found. Dana wonders what might have happened if she hadn't pulled into that store. Story 2. The Locked Storage Unit. Chris had inherited a storage unit from his late uncle. No one in the family knew what was inside. His uncle had been reclusive and private. No one had been allowed to visit his home, let alone the unit. The unit had been paid up for nearly a decade, even after his death. But finally, the family decided to open it. The faculty manager unlocked the unit, and Chris stepped inside. It wasn't full of junk or furniture like he expected. Instead, the entire space was neatly organized with label boxes. Each one had a year written on it, going back for more than 30 years. Inside the boxes were hundreds of handwritten journals. Every day, his uncle had documented what he did, where he went, and who he saw. Most of it was boring: grocery trips, weather notes, gas receipts. But every so often, he'd write something strange. Saw the same man near the post office again. Same gray coat. Same stare. Phone rang. No one there. 3rd time this week. Followed by white car from work to home. License plate covered. There were dozens of entries like that, year after year. Paranoia? Maybe. But some entries got even weirder. Tried to confront him. He smiled, told me my sister's name. I never told him. Woke up and my door was unlocked. Deadbolt was unlatched. I always check. They were in the unit. Rearranged my files. I know they were here. The last journal was dated just 3 weeks before his death. The final entry? They told me to stop writing. I won't. Chris still has the journals. He says the handwriting in the final entry wasn't his uncle's. Story 3. The Voice at the Window. This happened to a teenager named Jordan who lived in a rural town in Oregon. Their house backed up to a thick forest with no fences and no nearby neighbors. One summer night, Jordan stayed up late gaming. Around 2 a.m., he heard a tapping at his window. At first, he thought it was just a tree branch. But then, he heard a voice. It said his name, quietly, almost like a whisper. Jordan. He froze. The blinds were down, but the window was slightly cracked to let the cool air in. He got up and closed it, trying to convince himself it was his imagination. But the next night, around the same time, it happened again. Tap, tap, tap. Jordan. He yelled for his dad, who rushed in, but found nothing outside. They chalked it up to being a prank, maybe a friend messing with them. But the third night, Jordan stayed up again, this time with his phone ready. The tapping came like clockwork. He hit record and slowly lifted the blinds. What he saw made his stomach drop. A man crouched outside near the window, partially hidden in the shrubs. Jordan yelled. His dad came running. They both ran outside, but the man was gone. The police took the video. They boosted security, installed cameras, and the visit stopped. But the footage, when played back, it only recorded the audio. You could hear the tapping. You could hear the voice saying his name. Jordan. But there was no one on the camera. Turns out, the lens had been sprayed with something to block the visibility. A trick used by stalkers and burglars. The man was never identified, but the police found shallow footprints around the perimeter of the house. He'd been watching them for days. All right, friends, let's recap. A persistent stranger on the road who wouldn't go away. A locked storage unit filled with unsettling daily records. And a name-whispering stalker in the forest right outside a bedroom window. No ghost, no curses, just the kind of true stories that remind us people are capable of some seriously creepy behavior. If you got a story like these, I would love to hear them. Use the link in the episode description to send it in, and you might just hear it on the future episodes of OverRedding It. Until next time, stay safe, trust your instincts, and maybe double check that window before you go to bed. Goodbye, friends.